How great of a side hustle are ATMs? Will ATMs make you great passive money that require little time each and every month? Today we'll be talking to Thomas Berkeley, who's been in the ATM business for several years now and is an industry expert. We're going to see how much profit you can potentially make with this side hustle and what is needed for you to get started with ATMs in your city today. Also, a huge thanks to Thomas for all the great advice and tips during the interview. Please show him some love and check out more of his great videos all about ATMs on his channel. Now, let's jump right into the interview. How long have you been in the ATM business?
Yeah, I've been over in the industry for over a decade now. And I actually started my journey with teaching other people probably about 4 years ago, 2018.
What do you need to get started? Could I just buy an ATM, find a location, and I'm ready to go? Or is there a lot more to it?
Yeah, in the perfect world, you would be able to do just that. In any other industry, any other business, you would be able to do just that. The one thing that's really odd about this industry is that getting the ATM is actually the very last thing that you're going to do. The very first things that you need to have a dedicated LLC for this industry, and you need to have a dedicated account for this industry as well. And once you have those things, the next thing that you're going to have to acquire is the actual location itself. So you're going to go and look for that location itself. And then once you have that location lined up, everything's good to go. You have to have what's called a site location agreement, which is a contract that's going to be between yourself and that business owner. And once you have that signed, then you jump into finding your first processing company that you're going to work with. And the processing company, you can consider them the Wi-Fi for the ATM, and you can consider the ATM the computer. One of those things, you can have those things separately, but they do not work without the other. And so by having those two things, you're able to connect to what's called the bank network, which is controlled by the credit card companies. And that is how your customers will come in, utilize that ATM, and access their bank accounts.
Then what about for how much does an ATM machine actually cost? Is this, a couple hundred or a couple of thousands of dollars?
They range. Typically, I always recommend there's one or two machines, two of which that I really like, the Hyosung Halo 2 and again Mega 2500. Those are two of our favorite ATMs. Those machines typically cost around $2,200, $2,600 out the door with taxes, depending on your state. Yeah, and then if you really are kind of familiar with the industry and you know what you're getting into, then you can also get refurbished, certified refurbished ATMs straight from the manufacturer for around $1,900 as well.
Kind of moving on to some of our next questions. What would you say? How do you find a good location to place the ATM?
Yeah, I mean, there's a multitude of ways to actually find their location. One of the most common ways is to just kind of do the traditional hit the pavement. You go into a business and you have a conversation with that business owner. Another thing that I talk about a lot too is going into Google and just typing in, for example, barbershops near me. That's going to always give you at least 4, 5, 6 pages worth of businesses that you can reach out to. And so you're going to have that conversation with the business owner. You're going to convince them of the benefits of having an ATM. We can discuss that too in a minute if you want to. And when you go over those benefits with that business owner, and then you strike up that conversation, you guys negotiate, and then you sign your site location agreement. So it's really simple. The process is simple to find your first client, but the reality of it is hard because it does take some conversational skills, knowledge of the industry, and just really knowing your stuff,
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. What type of businesses would you say typically have an ATM that, would be easier when you're doing your Google search for stores in your area?
Yeah, I mean, any business that is a cash only business, any business that utilizes cash and card can really be a great boom. Just to kind of give you some examples, we'll work with barbershops, salons, gas stations, smoke shops, dispensaries, strip clubs, bars, nightclubs. There's a lot of niche businesses as well. And as long as it's basically when you think of all the times you've ever needed to use cash, those businesses are the best businesses for us.
So what about when it comes to negotiating these places? Say you find a barbershop that is willing to put your ATM there. How much do you pay them to have your machine there?
Yeah, well, there's a common misconception in the industry right now where people are saying, hey, you have to give the business owner something. And then people who know nothing about the industry might come to you and say, hey, why wouldn't you pay that business owner anything? It's their business. And that's completely wrong. Whenever you approach a business owner, you do not pitch to them, this is how much we're going to pay you. And the reason why you don't do that is because they're already getting two major benefits from having an ATM in the business. The first benefit is they're saving thousands of dollars every single year by having an ATM in their business. The reason for that is because if you've ever used a credit or a debit card inside of a business, you guys know you swipe your card, you type the PIN, whatever you do, that business owner has to pay a fee of anywhere from 2 to 5% on that transaction. So not only have they lost money on the cost of goods, but they're losing money on the processing fee on top of that. Secondly, they're going to see an increase of business or foot traffic in their business by at least 20%. And the reason I say that is you just kind of put the scenario out there. Let's say you have a convenience store, it has an ATM in it. There's a barbershop across the street. Barbershops are typically cash only. So that barber is going to send a new customer over across the street to that convenience store to use that ATM. So you don't have to offer them anything up front. Now, you can offer them something, but you will use it only as a negotiation tool, because some business owners are going to be like, hey, that's cool. I see the benefits, et cetera, et cetera. But what is the financial benefit for the owner? So at that point, then you can start to negotiate what that might look like. You know, typically, I never go more than $1 and I start at 50 cents. A lot of people are screwing themselves because they're immediately going in there saying, hey, I'll give you XYZ. And they didn't have to do that.
So after you have a location, you have your ATM in there, you have the agreement with the actual business. How much are you charging your clients to use the ATM?
We're looking at anywhere from $2 to $3. $2 and $3.50 realistically. But we're seeing the sweet spot is between $2.50 and $3. Unless you're in like a strip club, airport, casinos, those kind of places, you'll see a lot of astronomical surcharge amounts, and you're going to whoever has an ATM in there is rich automatically off of one ATM. That's what I'll say to that. But essentially it's between $2.50 and $3. And so every time someone uses that ATM, you'll make $3 on that transaction.
But how much time does it require to maintain an ATM? Is it something that's pretty passive, or you can set it and forget it, or are you going to have to keep checking on it weekly?
Yeah, it's pretty passive in terms of actual time frame that it takes to manage this. It's probably only about 15 minutes to 30 minutes every month. Now, obviously, when you're getting a brand new location, you're going to visit that location, 2 or 3 times throughout that month. But that's just because you're going to be spending that time understanding the cash flow, how much traffic is coming in here, how much money should I put in here to make it so that I don't have to keep coming in here every single week. I can just make it down to once a month, which is the goal. So to go there, fill it up once a month, go about your day, collect your deposits every 24 to 48 hours.
How often do you have to restock the money? Sounds like every month. And I guess how much money are you putting in it?
Yeah, what I always recommend is I recommend not putting any more than $8,000 in the ATM at one time. Most ATMs can hold up to 20,000 bills. In a lot of on average, and obviously you can increase that with more expensive ATMs. But that being said, what we typically see is that you should put around $1,500 to $2,000 in that ATM to start. And the reason why you're going to do that is just so that you have a good starting point, a good base. That's a good base. And so based on the amount of traffic, you're going to see that I need to either increase or decrease the amount based on how many transactions I'm seeing. So if you're seeing that people are really going through this money, you might want to double it, have $4,000 in there. You might see that $4,000 is the sweet spot, and you don't have to visit that location but once a month.
What about, is there like any other things you think people should know about for ATM business that they might not know once they're getting started? I think you mentioned a few throughout the interview, but is there any else that come to mind?
No, I think that this industry is super simple. And I think the concept is easy to understand. I think that the main thing that people should do, though, is don't look at this as like affiliate marketing or Amazon or anything like that. You want to look at the ATM industry as an investment. Reason being, because obviously you have a lot of upfront hard costs on tangible goods. Well, realistically, just the ATM, that's your biggest hard cost. There's really no other fees that you're going to be paying except maybe, $10, $15 a month for a wireless connection, or and that's really it. Realistically, everything is pretty much done up front. But I want people to look at this as like an investment. If you're looking at your ATM is $2,500. You want to look and see, what is that investment going to look like within the first 12 months? And you might see a 20 to 30% return on your investment or more within that first 12 months. It really depends. It can go all the way up to 60% return on your investment. It just really depends on the type of location. So you do have to be flexible in your assumptions of what something should yield in terms of profit.
How much money can you make a month with ATMs?
The lower echelon would be like a barbershop. You might see a couple $100 there. Then you go higher. The tattoo shops are in the $500-$600 range. Then you get up to bars, nightclubs, strip clubs. Now you're looking at $700, $800, $900 a month in profit. So it really all just depends. So
yeah, kind of wrapping up here. So is it too late to get started with the ATM business? Is the market too saturated?
No, and the reason I can see why a lot of people would say that. The reality of it is, if you walk out your house right now, you go to 3 stores right now, 9 times out of 10, they're going to have ATMs. And what people do is they do just that. They'll go check out 3 locations, see 3 ATMs, and then say, okay, this is saturated, I can't do this. But that's not true. The reality of it is, how many locations have you not visited? How many locations are popping up every single day? There's a lot of opportunity here. And even as we go and more into digital currency and things of that nature, all we're going to do is just move over to Bitcoin ATMs or whatever. There's always going to be an ATM needed for something.
All right, awesome. Yeah, like I said, we'll be leaving links down below if anyone wants to check that out for any of the viewers. But Thomas, yeah, thank you for taking the time today to answer all of our questions and helping us learn a lot more about the ATM business.
Oh yeah, I'm here if you guys have any more questions. I have a lot more to say.
All right, awesome. Thank you, and I'll talk to you later.
All right, cool.
All right, bye. Huge thanks again for Thomas for all the great advice and tips on how you can get started making thousands of dollars per month with ATMs. Please leave a comment down below what side hustle you would like for me to do an interview for next. If this video brought you any kind of value, please make sure to subscribe and share the video. Feel free to check out my other videos all about different side hustles that I personally have tried and learn more about personal finance. I'll see you guys in the next one. This is Kevin, your financial tutor, signing off. Peace.